At the time of recording, it is almost May, and that means that we are just over a month away from E3 2019, and I'm super excited, just like all of you other gamers are out there, I'm sure, and that means we are going to get some awesome new trailers for games that we're excited for, possibly some teasers for some next-gen stuff, and of course, a lot of new game announcements, so let's talk about those right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Ryan Ramakrishnan. If you've never heard of me, you've never seen my videos before, welcome to the channel. Hopefully you will enjoy this video and stick around and subscribe. I'd like to talk about gaming, movies, and TV shows, and kind of just entertainment in general, but gaming has definitely been my number one thing for a while, probably will stay that way. I'm really into gaming, and I'm super excited for E3 2019. Why? Well, why not? There's going to be tons of new games to see, and it is always exciting. I started this channel in June 2018 talking about E3, and I'm excited to talk more about E3 right now and in the coming weeks and months. Without further ado, guys, these are just 10 games that I'd like to see announced at E3 2019, so hopefully you enjoy. Now, I know that Need for Speed Payback is not really anyone's favorite game, and I know that EA is not really anyone's favorite publisher. In fact, there's a lot of toxicity in the conversation in the gaming world when you talk about Electronic Arts, but Need for Speed is a really cool franchise. Like, how could you disagree with that? At one point, it was huge. Now, I know Forza has sort of taken the mantle in the best racing games these days, but it's time for a comeback. And I personally enjoyed Payback, but I think that it was ambitious and just lacked everything that the ambition showed. It's time for a nice, brand new, no microtransactions Need for Speed game.
There's something much bigger going on here.
Jump!
Get down!
Wait till 2020, assuming we get the PS5 and the next Xbox release as a launch title then. Tease it right now. Tease a really beautiful Need for Speed game with a lot of awesome recognizable brands of cars, high-speed racing and chasing, and if there's going to be some narrative, hopefully it's going to be really cool, and I actually want that. I wanted that Fast and Furious style narrative that was teased in Payback, but full-fledged. I want it to actually be good. I think that there is a little potential left in Electronic Arts if they put the effort and time into it and give us what we truly want and no speed cards. Earlier this year, I considered buying Onimusha Warlords when it released as a remastered game on current-gen consoles, but I realized that between tank controls and PS1 graphics, I knew that this game was not something that really fit in the modern day. But what if it came back? Right now, trends seem to be post-apocalyptic and samurais. Between Nioh 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and Ghost of Tsushima, even Katana Zero, a new Onimusha game would be amazing, especially with Capcom's record right now. Capcom has turned things around completely. Look no further than Monster Hunter World, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, Mega Man 11, and Devil May Cry 5, all within a span of just a couple of years. Capcom is back, and they're doing really well, and it's time to let them bring Onimusha back to us.
Hey, it is too late for the boy. And since you have learned that our Lord Nobunaga will rule the world with the demons,
Fight and die with honor!
I think it was probably a test by giving us the remaster to see if people care. And I hope they do, because Onimusha would be really cool. You know, I don't want a remake, I want a brand new sequel to Onimusha. Give us some nice, exciting, and action-packed combat and a story that is really cool and mysterious and interesting to follow. And just show us that Onimusha belongs in the modern day of gaming, because that would be a hype announcement at E3 2019 for so many gamers out there. Mario Kart is really awesome. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is probably one of the best games in the last few years and totally a must play on the Switch, but Nintendo has another really awesome racing franchise, something quite different, something quite dormant. We all know who Captain Falcon is and the Falcon Punch from Super Smash Bros. But do you know F-Zero? I know that everybody wants a new F-Zero game. The franchise seems to have been dead for so long, and it's actually really disappointing because F-Zero games are a whole lot of fun and they're really cool, super stylish, and just awesome games to play with friends or even by yourself. And I think that it's time for Nintendo to do us a justice and bring it back. Now I know we're all sitting here waiting to find out about Luigi's Mansion 3, Animal Crossing for the Switch, Metroid Prime 4, and Bayonetta 3. But why not just give us another game to wait a few years for? I mean, everyone wants to see F-Zero. Everyone would be super hyped if Nintendo's E3 presentation showed us Captain Falcon, but not in Smash, but driving. And I think that it's time for a nice high-speed, crazy racing game like F-Zero to hit the Switch, a brand new one with nice new graphics, a bunch of awesome tracks and characters and vehicles to customize, an online mode, and maybe even some sort of story. But either way, if F-Zero returns, a lot of Nintendo's hardcore fans are going to be extremely happy. One of Ubisoft's flagship franchises is Assassin's Creed, and it stole or borrowed a lot of elements from Ubisoft's franchise of Prince of Persia, which is pretty dormant at this point. It's been quite some time. But there's always people talking about Prince of Persia returning, and how could they not? I would love to see it come to this gen of consoles, maybe even this year, but even more so on PS5 and the next Xbox. I think that a Prince of Persia game is way too long overdue right now.
I control the sands of time. This is my destiny. To save this kingdom. To save this world.
With the advancements in technology and open world design that Ubisoft has truly mastered over the years, at least in my opinion, Prince of Persia could do really well. They can tell a really fascinating story and use the time techniques to full effect, have some really cool parkour and just some awesome melee action in there, continue the tradition of what made Prince of Persia so cool back in the day. But for the modern age of gaming, I think that Prince of Persia would be super fitting, and it's only a matter of time for Ubisoft to announce it, and where else but E3. Splinter Cell is one of the coolest franchises in gaming, and 2013's Blacklist was a really cool game. PS3 and 360 players got to experience one of the most awesome stealth games around. Unfortunately, it's been quite some time since. 6 years later, there's not even an announcement of a new Splinter Cell game. But of course, games of the past, those were the ones that really sold people. Splinter Cell was once one of the biggest names in gaming, and right now I think it's time for Ubisoft to return.
I am a Splinter Cell.
I want to talk to the man in charge.
You're talking to him.
Splinter Cell has been teased, of course. Ghost Recon Wildlands showing us Sam Fisher like that was insane, but it was also such a tease. So I think that Ubisoft needs to bring it back. I think that pretty much every single gamer out there wants a return, and just imagine that one more game announcement at E3 2019 on Ubisoft stage being a new Splinter Cell. Some sort of awesome tease with Sam Fisher at the ending would make people go crazy, and I know I would be one of those people as well. So I think it's finally time to announce it and release it possibly next year on the next gen of consoles. It's time for more Splinter Cell. We were lucky enough to see Crash Bandicoot return in 2017. The Insane Trilogy was a fantastic recreation of PlayStation 1 classics. And then last year, we were treated to Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And Spyro the Dragon and his sequels were also amazing on the current gen of consoles. And then this year, the tradition is just going to continue. In June, we're getting a remake of Crash Team Racing, and that is a super popular game, and a lot of people are excited, myself included. Not even growing up with Crash and Spyro, I respect them and I really like those games. So where am I going with this? It's time for sequels. Now I know this is sort of cheating, but I didn't really want to split Crash Bandicoot and Spyro into two separate entries on this list because descriptions are basically going to be the same. I just want more of it. And I know Activision has owned these franchises and hasn't really released like a new sequel in quite some time, excluding their remastered or remake trilogies. It's high time that we get to see a new Crash game and a new Spyro. If I had to pick one, probably gonna go Crash. I like it a little more, but really imagine both. What if they were both announced together? That would be insane. The world would never be the same in gaming. But it is really time for Activision to get going and give us a brand new Crash Bandicoot and a brand new Spyro game, probably 2020. What do you guys think? Which one would you rather, Crash or Spyro to return in a full new sequel? Let me know in the comments below. 2014, Watch Dogs. It was a game that was supposed to be amazing, highly ambitious, a lot of people were excited for it, and the trailers certainly gave people reason to be excited for it. Of course, the game releases, and it's not necessarily the best thing ever, and people are disappointed. I, however, like it. And then a couple years later, we get a sequel. Watch Dogs 2 is funnier, more fun, more creative, more lighthearted, overall, significantly better, a substantial improvement on the first game. Watch Dogs 2 is one of my favorite games of this generation. I know it's kind of crazy, so I would like some more Watch Dogs. It's kind of as easy as that. Rumor has it we're going to get one announced soon, probably E3. Ubisoft has totally got one coming our way soon, and rumor has it it's going to be in London. I think that's cool. I'm kind of fascinated by the city, and I think it should be really interesting. As long as we get a fun game with fun-loving and easygoing, but maybe not super cheesy protagonists, and some sort of story that's easy to follow, nothing crazy, but maybe have something a little interesting using all the hacking and stuff in the world, and have some more awesome ways to manipulate things around you using those hacking techniques, and just a fun open world to explore and mess around in. I'm sold. I love Watch Dogs. I love Watch Dogs 2 even more, and I truly hope that we get Watch Dogs 3 announced at E3 2019. One of the games that I've been playing recently is something that no one else is, and that's Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Now, Metal Gear Rising is a game that was free on Xbox Live Games with Gold last month, so hopefully you guys checked it out if you never played it. And if you did play it, you might know why I love it so much. This 2013 hack and slash spin-off of the Metal Gear franchise is almost as bizarre, if not more, than the games in the core series themselves. I love Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance more than you would think, more than I love most games that I've played. I just really enjoy it. I think it's super cool. The idea of Raiden being given his full potential in a hack and slash game makes perfect sense, so much more than letting you play as him in Metal Gear Solid 2 or 4. Raiden is awesome. Really just one of the coolest characters in gaming. Super violent. This game has such good action, and it's bloody and brutal and crazy and wacky, and it's so much fun.
Now you're just being nasty. That nickname you love so much. Want to know how I got it? Actually, why don't I give you a demonstration? I think it's time for Jack to let her rip.
And I really want a sequel to that, and it's something that I've been asking for since 2013. Upon completion of Metal Gear Rising, when I was in middle school, and I remember struggling to counter in that game and struggling to beat the final boss. I've always wanted a sequel. I've always wanted more of that. And honestly, I know it's not going to happen. It's probably one of the most unrealistic things on my list, but I could still dream because I love Platinum Games, and Konami's franchise of Metal Gear may be kind of dead now with everything with Kojima. And yeah, like I said, I just keep realizing how unrealistic this is, but I would love a Metal Gear Rising sequel. And by the way, I truly recommend you check out Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance if you've never played it and you like action games, because it is probably some of the most fun 6 hours you'll have across gaming. Even now in 2019, it is awesome. One of the most desired games that doesn't exist and unfortunately may never exist is Skate 4. We all know it, and we all know that there was a really cool looking skateboarding game shown at E3 2018 on Microsoft stage, and I'm pretty sure everyone thought it was Skate 4 and was a little bit too disappointed when it wasn't. But what if there still is a Skate 4 on the way? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater failed completely in the last entry, but I'm hoping that a new skate game would not be such a failure. I'm hoping it would be completely the opposite of a failure. Give us a nice new skateboarding sim with all of the fun that everyone remembers in the skate games. I have such fond memories of playing Skate 3 on my PS3. I remember staying up very late with my brother, just messing around, trying new tricks and doing all crazy stuff in there, and just really enjoying it, almost wishing that I learned how to skateboard when I was a kid, which I never did and never will. But it's the closest thing if we were to get Skate 4. I think that it's been way too long. Everybody's asking for it and clamoring for it, and it almost seems like it's never gonna happen, but God, imagine if E3 2019, we actually see just the logo, Skate, show up. That alone would have everyone busting out of their seats, because it is so past due for Skate to return to us gamers. If there's one thing that I love just as much as video games, it's comic book franchises and comic book movies, I guess you could say. I love Batman, one of my favorite heroes across all properties. And let me tell you that Batman Arkham Asylum, City and Night are some of my favorite games of all time. I truly love them. I recently played Asylum, adored it. Remember, Night was one of my favorite games. I remember playing it so much. And I also remember hearing that Rocksteady was completing the trilogy with Night, and it's been a few years now. Having released in 2015, we are way past due hearing what they're doing next. Now, this is not necessarily me saying I want a Batman Arkham sequel, because I can respect the franchise to be done. I think it's time for them to move on. And guess what? I don't actually want a Superman game. I want something different, but stick to the DC comics, because one of my favorite comic book characters, thanks entirely to the CW and Stephen Amell, is the Green Arrow. So I'm not saying that you should necessarily base a game off of the show, but there's certainly a lot of inspiration that I think would make a great game. A lot of the plot points and action and whatnot, but Green Arrow is just such a cool character, and I want Rocksteady to do a Green Arrow game. It's something I've always wanted. I think that Rocksteady should take a bunch of cues from CW's Arrow, all the good parts that is, look no further than season 5, or maybe the earliest seasons, or the beginning of season 7 in Slabside. Don't really look at all the bad stuff in the show, of course, but Green Arrow is really cool. Imagine having an arsenal of all sorts of arrows, stealth combat, shooting arrows, and gliding around an open world city of Star City, fighting all awesome bad guys like Deathstroke and Prometheus and whatnot, meeting up with other characters, maybe even make it take place in the world of the Batman Arkham games, and then collaborate with other characters, you know? That could be cool. So many cool ideas I have, and many other people would probably have too if they like Green Arrow and they like Rocksteady games. I think it's time for them to tackle something new. Don't go with Superman. I get it, you're done with Batman. Do Green Arrow. I think that Oliver Queen is a super compelling character. Green Arrow is an awesome superhero, and I think that Rocksteady would probably be doing themselves a justice if they tackled the Green Arrow world for their next open world superhero action game.
Mr. Queen, why are you being arrested again?
I have voluntarily handed myself over to the FBI.
Can you comment any further?
Yes, I can. I am the Green Arrow.
Alright guys, that is my list. Those are 10 sequels or new games that I would like to see announced at E3 2019. Of course, like I said, right now I'm recording and it's still April, so there is still time, and I'm sure I could probably make a part 2, maybe even a part 3. Of course, without Sony being at E3, I kind of had to steer away from some of the games that I would have put, like maybe some Uncharted or Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, who knows. Sony's franchises are quite good, but they're not going to be E3, so we'll save that for another video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys will let me know your lists in the comments below. It doesn't have to be a direct sequel to a game. It could be a new IP for all I care. I mean, Green Arrow is a new IP for gaming. It could just be anything. I just want to hear your thoughts. What games are you hoping to see at E3 2019? What are your hopes for the show in general? What kind of games are you hoping they announce? What do you think they will announce? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and ring the notification bell while you're there if you want to stay tuned for all the upcoming videos, because I plan to be covering E3 as much as I possibly could, whether it be predictions or reviews of the show's conferences themselves. Thank you again for watching. I'm Ryan Ramakrishnan, and I will see you guys all in the next video.